up this year either. We're going to try to make sure we get it going in the right direction. The new superintendent's got some different ideas that we listened to.
That's cool.
And Sibby has ideas, of course.
What's that?
Sibby has ideas, of course.
You don't remember Terry Reitzel from our class, do you?
Okay, if we could stand, please. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Cindy, please.
Terry Lorenzo.
Here.
Rebecca Anderson. Here. John Colfax. Anthony Gorski.
Here.
Lawrence Kwasinski.
Here.
Michael Reinhold.
Here.
Joseph Keith. He has to be excused.
Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. This is a meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Lancaster. Please keep in mind that we are an advisory and recommending board and not a final decision-making body. The rules of the Planning Board allow us to recognize only the petitioners of the various projects and their representatives. We ask that anyone wishing to make comment do so in writing. Let's see here. Are there any additions or deletions or comments regarding the minutes from January 18th? No? I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Communications log. Any questions? Okay. We'll go right into our agenda then. The first project is Edgewater East.
Good evening.
Hello.
We've got a few handouts here for you. Maybe we can,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Barniak with Carmina Wood Design, here with Brian Young and Joe Young with Young Development. And we're here to review with you the site development project located at 6026 Broadway, in the corner of Broadway and Pavement. Edgewater East is an apartment project that consists of 5 apartment buildings. Each building is 2 stories. Each building has 10 units. We presented this project to the board on December 7th. We received your comments, and we've since basically updated our plans accordingly, and I would like to review with the board those items. Perfect. Brian?
okay, so taking into consideration the species of plants that you were looking for, we are using Black Hill spruce and we're using white spruce. So we are using plants that are from the area.
Yeah, but there's no variety. It's just spruces.
Well, basically, the thing that is like,
Why do you choose that? I mean, versus
Well, why? Because-
hardwoods and some other things. I'm just asking, what, from your point of view, why do you do that?
well, we use them for privacy, for the evergreens. I think there's 45 or 50 of them on the plan. We use maples, we've got some willows by the pond, we've got some different ornamentals, but, we're also affiliated with Seasonal Nursery. And the majority of our product or properties that we do put together have more landscaping than most other developments. So I do believe we do a very good over-planning of plants.
I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that. My question before was twofold. Number one, on your plans, there's a section of woods in the corner. And to me, the world does not end at the property line. And if you look at the overview that you just gave us.
Yes.
And I have another copy of it. That is a buffer that goes all the way up. That's a long wooded buffer. It's, I don't know, kind of got an old picture of it. It goes all up behind all the neighbors that you have to the north of you and between those folks in the west of you. And I see on your drawing, you've left a little bit of it.
So, two things here. Basically, I don't see anything where there's first of all, we had the dog park originally over there. Because where the dog park is right on Broadway. It made more sense to stick it in the back corner. But by doing that, we would have wiped out all of those trees. So, we were thinking of that as part of the plan to not knock the trees down to begin with. They are poplars and there's ash in there, so we would thin them out, clean them up, and get whatever would fall on our buildings or our residents' cars out of there. But, we're really in the business of saving trees if we can, but if they're more of a burden and 3 years down the road, we take them out now. So, that was part of our plan when we did this. I was out of town the last time, or I would have been able to answer more of these questions. But since, your input that you had here, we increased the buffer plantings between us and the senior housing. We've increased the buffer along Pavement Road with some more additional trees. And I think that was kind of some of the questions that you had. There's three variances that we need, but by moving the dog park back to where we were, that was one less variance. We just pushed it back farther behind the building, so we didn't need to go for a variance for the dog park fence. With that being said, I think those were most of the questions that you guys were asking in reference to the plan.
So what variances are still required?
The variances, again, I believe it's just the density. So we have 47 units that we're allowed to put on the property. I believe it's either 45 or 47. And we're looking to put 50 units in there. So we're looking for 3 units additional to put in there. I think that was the only variance that we were looking for. And again, we'll go in front of the variance, in front of the ZBA in reference to what we're doing with that. Sean Hopkins wasn't able to make it today, otherwise Sean would have been here. He could have went into a little more depth on what we need.
So that's the only one you need?
I believe that's it. Yep.
I thought you said you needed 3 and then you moved the dog park and
So
everything.
if there's 3, I'm not exactly sure what that was. Maybe it was just the 2 of them that we needed.
Matt, do you know?
Yes, we had a fence height around the dog park, and then we had a setback for the vehicle area in the southwest of the property.
Where would that be?
There's a small triangle that encroaches into the,
Oh.
I believe it's 10, 11 feet. Is it?
It's a front parking setback.
Right. It's basically from the driveway entrance to the west.
Is there a way to modify the plan to change so that you wouldn't need that variance?
I don't believe so. I don't think we've got this so the fire trucks work and everybody works through here for a safety program to get through the property.
So the answer to that is yes, there is a way, and that would be what I said last time, and eliminate a building. Because then you would need no variances for that
Well, again,
west portion of the building, of the site.
first of all, this land is very expensive for what we're purchasing here. So we have it under contract to put these units here. If the density and we can't get the amount of units that we're doing in here, this plan's dead anyways. Right?
Okay.
So, I mean.
Understood.
Yeah, so.
But get where we're coming from. What good does the town get out of granting all these required variances for this parcel? A little bit more tax increase?
Yeah, 250,000 in taxes. That's not too shabby. That's not too shabby, right?
I'll tell you this much, if I was on the variance board, I would not allow it. I would deny the variances, my opinion.
Well, again, we're here just to go over what you had put in here for a plan. We are allowed 47 units in here. As far as the density, if we took that building and turned it into three-bedroom units, it would be that size of a building. So, you know, we don't have many threes in here. We have ones, twos, and I think there's 3, 6, 9, 9 three-bedrooms in there now. So.
So by changing the configuration then, you could actually hit the allotted units? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that the size of the building, right now, we have ones and twos in there with a few threes.
Yep.
We have some buildings that are that same size that would do more three bedrooms in. So you would have 47 units that would fit the code, but they would be much bigger units.
Okay.
You know, and basically, you know, our firm owns Edgewater up the street, and I think you can see from that property, it's very well maintained. It's you know, it's an asset to Lancaster. In this particular product here, everybody has their own garage, everybody has their own entrance, so there is no common hallway. So this is more of an upscale unit.
So you've got 10 units in each one of these buildings, correct?
Correct.
For a total of 50. So if that end unit lost 2 apartments out of it, again, you wouldn't need that variance, correct?
So I guess I'm a little confused because I'm not in front of the ZBA board here. I'm in front of the planning board reviewing the plan. So we'll discuss that with the ZBA board to go through what we're looking to do to you know, if they're gonna grant it or not. If they're not gonna grant it, then we're not gonna do the project. It's just that simple.
And it's that simple that I could just say, no, I'm voting against this.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
done, over. Carry on, Chairman.
Okay. Anything else you can tell us about where we are with the project?
Well, I believe the seeker started on January 9th, or right now, the process?
It was preferred.
Yeah. So the seeker couldn't be acted on until, you know, February 9th or whatever. So again, I think we're just back in here updating the plan according to what you folks were looking for.
Okay.
No, we can't act on anything until we find out about the variance, so
Correct.
we're just,
We're going to table it?
we have to
A
table,
motion to table.
we have no option, we haven't done seeker, and
Right.
we can't act on an incomplete project.
Sure.
It could still change. You might find, if you don't get the variance, you're saying you're just going away.
We are.
You can't, so I guess I need to get in my head straight. You look at a piece of property and it has a price on it, and you say, well, we want to get this, but only if we can have, and then you look at, well, you look at the code, you say, okay, it takes this many units, and then you figure out how many units you need to make it
So see those buildings?
economically viable.
We economically know how we can build that building.
How does, I guess I don't want to take up much more time, but you figure out your economics, and if your economics don't work with code, then you go to what makes it work for you. You added
Financial.
three or four more units.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's, you know, that's $600,000 worth of product. So 3 units, these are $200,000 a door, $220,000 a door
Per unit.
per unit.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, every single unit counts to make this work. And the cost of that everything is now, you know, it's a whole nother level of,
What do you mean by make this work? Do you mean like paying off your loans and?
yeah, like paying, exactly, like, you know, you need that additional rent to pay that, you know, additional.
Within a certain time frame.
What's that?
Within a certain time frame?
Correct, whatever, just to make the deal work.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Helps a little bit.
The zoning board can't act until we get down to seeker anyways.
Okay. Any other comments from the board?
So basically, we need to table it until we can at least do seeker.
Right. Right. But at least we can see now what,
But don't we typically vote on it anyways, regardless of the,
Not site plan, no, not until you get to know the variances. When there's variances required, it bounces back and forth 2-3 times because it's got to go seeker, town board has to act on seeker, then the zoning board can act, then it comes back to the planning board.
And any questions or comments for the applicant?
No, I mean, he just submitted some plans that address some of the things. Do you have a full set you can send me?
Absolutely.
No other?
Yeah.
Matt, any questions or comments? The applicant? Councilmember Mazer? I think at this point we'll look for a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Opposed?
you so much.
Motion carried. Thank you. The next is the amended site plan review for Town Line Volunteer Fire Company.
See how big this is. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Christopher Strang from Colbeck's Construction, Tom Schlick from Town Line Fire.
Hello.
We are proposing a single-story pre-engineered metal building to be used to house 2 additional trucks to the east of the existing facility. Non-combustible, pre-engineered steel, masonry exterior, brick front to match the existing front of the building, drive-it fascia to match the existing, so kind of has a seamless look to it. Other than that, it's fairly simple structure. We'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Nothing else is changing on the site, right? Just this addition?
Right here, yep.
Yeah, that's it. Everything else is already there. Nothing else is changing.
Yeah, this is actually on a parking lot.
It is.
Yeah, not to the public side, where the parking spaces are, but for more of the,
Well, I just kind of drove in front of all the doors and I supposed to park in front of it.
there'll be 2 more to the east.
Isn't that on the side of, by Moody's, the side?
Correct. They've got,
They're actually squaring the building off now. They're going out 40 feet by 100 to take it right to the back of the present building, so it's square.
they're going to have some aerial trucks that just need a little more height, okay? Because right now, there's a situation where if there's any even minimal snow on the ground, the way that now the aerials can't get in. So
Can't fit?
we've elevated the 12-foot doors, so the 2 new ones are 14s, so the trucks can stage comfortably, and it just works better for everybody.
I had to put in a heated pad so I could get my truck back in if it snowed. Because
That's how tight it was,
I said,
yeah.
guys, how am I going to get back in if I drive over snow? They go, oh. So I put a heated pad,
We're going to have a heated pad in front of this one, too.
yes. But with the 14-foot doors, we're good shape. We ordered 2 new vehicles, a new 107-foot aerial and a new pumper. I ordered them in May to avoid another price increase. I won't get them until the end of next year.
And hopefully this will be up there.
I haven't heard another delay, but they,
the existing building's not a pre-engineered metal building, is it?
No, it's conventional. Block, bar joist. But this building has a quarter 12 roof pitch with a membrane rubber roof on it, so it's very similar to a conventional framed bar joist building. To mitigate any view of any roof pitch issues, there's a parapet on the front, so the drive-it parapet hides that mild roof pitch, which I think that shows on the elevations. The front exterior of the addition will match the existing building exactly.
said I'll bite my tongue.
Ed, any questions from you?
No, they addressed the hydrant issue. They have another benchmark in the back. I was just calling it out because you're using it for construction purposes. So I just wanted you to know it's probably changed in the front, so,
Yeah, it's considerably higher.
yeah, yeah.
Matt, any questions or comments from you?
Nothing outside of the comment letter that was written.
Okay.
River construction, current interior inspection.
Councilmember Mazer. So where do we go on this one?
Does this need a coordinated review?
Well, it doesn't need a coordinator. I don't know if it got sent out or not. I don't,
An unlisted action that was sent out for county referral on January 4th
just referral.
as an unlisted action.
Yeah. So you can do the short form if you wanted to.
The short form?
Yeah, we can go through the short form and secret.
Okay.
Unless somebody has some objection.
Any objections from
You
the board?
have anything, Tony?
No.
You don't like the color? What color is it?
I do, but it's not my position to comment on those things, so.
Okay, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. I should have brought glasses. Thanks, Tony. Oh, that's definitely better. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of it? We don't have that. Okay, so that's a no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
I hope not.
Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies?
No.
Public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No, there's nothing there.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
No.
I think that's it, right?
Right.
Yep.
We don't have to do
That's it.
that. There were no large impacts, so all we have to do is, I move to grant this project negative deck under secret.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
Motion's carried.
secret is done.
You can
Now you can
move on the site
put on
plan.
the site
Yeah, we can move on to site plan then too, right?
There's no variances, right? There's no, it's a clean project.
I make a motion, we accept.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Oh, that was quick.
They should all be that easy.
Yeah, well,
Doesn't usually go this well.
well, you've been before us enough times to know.
Exactly.
Right, but it was a clean project. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
there weren't any variances, there weren't any issues
Under an acre, yeah, nice and clean.
under an acre, and you're covering the existing paved area with a building. You're not adding any more pavement either.
No,
No.
you've got a big parking lot. This is a lucky one for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with your project, I hope your trucks show up.
I'm just waiting for another delayed letter.
It's probably coming.
Okay, we're going to move now to 21 Pavement Road. An amended site plan review.
Evening.
Hello.
My name is Gary Matniak. I'm the principal at 21 Pavement Road, LLC. Back in 2019, a site plan was approved, 2019, 2020. A site plan was approved to build an addition onto the building behind my shop. It's a machine shop, wood shop. We've been there for 34 years. We moved in there in 1989. We were under non-conforming use for all those years. Recently, it just got changed, the actual plot of land got changed to commercial, which we are under the covenant of doing business under this zoning. So back in 2019, the site plan was proposed, built the building. It went through some harrowing COVID times for like maybe about 8 to 9 months back and forth trying to get people to work and everything like this. The project stalled, it came back and everything like that. So the end all to be all, everything is done with the building and more or less conforms to what it was supposed to be built. The difference is that when the site plan was approved, as it was and as it was designed, it was my mistake and my understanding that how it was built and everything did not really, was not safe and not conducive of the use of what the shop does. So what you can see is the difference from what was built as far as the site plan was. There's a discrepancy in, yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a discrepancy in where the pavement and the asphalt is. And if you take a look at the site plan, what it was and to what it as surveyed right now did not conform to what the original site plan was. What I'm asking is the amendment of the site plan to change the asphalt, to move it over, to be more conducive to backing out of the parking lot, trucks to get in to the shop, because there's semis that come in once in a while, and the flatbeds have to be unloaded, or a box truck or a regular semi has to be unloaded. And there's a danger to where if it was down to like 12 foot, where it's by the one area of the building, as you look in the site plan to the left, which goes down to 12 foot. A semi-trailer is about 9 feet wide, safely to get around it. And if a forklift has to maneuver around that, it's very dangerous. And what happened was when the asphalt pavers paved it, I more or less told them just to go right down, and then I'll cut out what has to be done later on. I was under pressure to do it and everything like that. But anyways, the way it has been surveyed by GPI is what it is right now. What I would like to ask for is it to be taken as is at this point right now. And if you could see the difference on it in the certain areas as you travel the line up and compare it. I don't know what the actual, Ken put the area where the hash marks are. If you want to just interject and maybe just show them what the difference is.
Yeah, Ken Zouch with the engineering firm GPI. We were the original site engineer, and it's been helping Gary here for a few years. Yeah, what we've indicated on the plans that you all should have been provided as well as on this board here is the difference in what was originally approved by the site plan in 2019, and the hashed area shows some of that expansion that Gary's referencing in terms of his need for safety and for the trailer maneuvering and unloading there. So that's the hashed area which has extended out a little bit further to the north. He has, left for our landscape plan that was developed at the time in 2019. We do have those spots for those trees and foliage there, the neighbor to the north. has their own existing shrubbery that's pretty significant in this section here where it's expanded a little bit. So there is a nice barrier that's up now, and certainly will continue to grow with the plantings that he installed, I think, within the last year or two.
Well, more or less, as it was planned, as you realize what it is and what happens, it just isn't going to, it just wasn't going to work. It was more or less a hazard, especially the area where the parking lot and the parking area is, because it calls for 21 feet. A regular pickup truck is almost 22 feet. You can't even back it up properly at a 90-degree angle. And that's more or less what I'm asking for. Everything else is conforming to what the site was, and, you know, the inspection on the building and everything. The only thing is there's a couple little issues that we have been resolved with the building inspector when they did the walkthrough inspection. And those things have been resolved. They just have to go for final inspection. Was it wrong? Yes. And I take complete responsibility for understanding that it was wrong, but I didn't really review it at the time. We were hurried when it happened, and for safety reasons and things like that. I mean, the other alternative is to go in and saw all this asphalt up, pull it up, and then comply to what the original site plan was. And the problem with that is that once it happens, then you're more or less in a situation where a safety factor, which I'm concerned in the convenience of what it should be, is proper. In the future, right now, we're looking for another expansion on this building also, because it is zoned commercial now. And if we fall under the rights of what has to be done for all the building codes and everything, we're going to comply and put a little more addition onto the building as it is now. But we want to get this all resolved so everything can be done with the building, finish up the building permit, and finish all this up. And this is this is why we're here, so.
Yeah, and I do just want to make one more point, because I know not everyone on the board was present during the time of this original site plan approval. When we came in, he's really provided a lot. When we came in with the site plan, he had some concessions originally. None of this was paved, it was all stone, so he did come in and pave. He also had this kind of loop essentially in front of the property here that was all stoned. That was being used as part of, I guess, the concessions as we were moving forward, was to eliminate that second curb cut and grass all that whole area. So I mean, what was previously stoned out in front of the building and that other entrance, that's all been seeded, topsoiled, so you got grass growing there. So that, I think, kind of, more or less boxed them into having this single entrance here. I mean, in addition to that, I think the investment on the properties compared to what it was a few years ago, it looks great. There's appropriate landscaping along the foundation at the frontage of the building. And those types of improvements, really just to clean up the site, kind of denote a clear spot for parking so that vehicles weren't, previously they might have been over here on the side of the building there, and now they're all focused in one spot. So he's made efforts to really clean up the site, and, it was, I guess, an unfortunate oversight on both our parts here, is we were coming to the town originally where we just didn't recognize the need for having a little bit wider access for the larger trucks to get into what's essentially the garage door that's towards the back of the property here.
In addition, at the beginning of all this, I was overhearing a situation of variances that possibly be needed. It was reported to me that through the letters that were in correspondence when this amendment was sent, that there are not any variances needed for this because it conforms with what the building codes are. I am not completely aware. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but my point is I'm not aware of it. So I would, if it is, enlighten me on that.
Matt, can you speak to that?
Yeah, there was a letter issued on January 11th on the completed application submittal. In item number 5, there is a relief that may be required for a setback from a residentially zoned district. The design standard is 15 feet. I'm just triple checking it again to be sure, but I do know that the parcel to the north of you is a residential district. setback requirement.
But the original, what was approved,
What was approved
what was approved wasn't 15 feet at the time.
correct.
So,
Is it an existing non-conforming?
right. So that's, if that's an issue, obviously, we're gonna have to deal with it. So, I mean, unless we have to go to the variance, appeal for a variance. But that, to my understanding, the way this was laid out in the original, it was less than 15 feet anyways, and it was approved. So,
Prior to the design change,
No,
it
we-
became non-conforming on the adoption of the new zoning code and design standards. At the point of the alteration, you need to make it conforming.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're caught in between this, that when this was approved and ultimately constructed, it was prior to the new code being in place sometime last year. The good news is that it went from non-conforming use to a conforming use. The bad news is that the site being the way it was, what might have been acceptable for pavement at that time now seems to be in conflict with part of the code for the commercial zoning here.
because the way it looks right now, if you go 15 feet over for where it's supposed to be, it's going to completely choke off the whole parking lot at all, completely. So if you go 15 feet back, you're almost, I don't have a scale here or anything like this, but I could more or less say that if you go 15 feet back to this, you're going to be choking off the parking lot to where you can't even back out of a parking space.
So you'd be backing out of the parking spaces onto landscaping?
Yeah,
Every
that's the
time.
whole, yeah. So obviously, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So the only other way is to take a saw and cut the whole thing off and, waste $20,000 worth of asphalt. So,
Yeah, but all of those spaces do not abut the building, correct?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
I said all of those spaces do not abut the building.
Do not abut the building.
Right.
The-
Yeah, just,
There's landscaping in front of them.
Yeah, there's landscaping behind the parking spots, and there's more or less for egress for the building, there's about 6 foot there for, so you can't put a car right up to the building because there's a door right there. So you need egress on there
Like the
too.
sidewalk area?
Yeah, on the asphalt area.
Is it? It's asphalt, it's not a concrete sidewalk?
It's asphalt,
Right.
yeah. There's a concrete pad that's right there, but there's asphalt that butts up into it.
Yeah, so you've got something that keeps that clear.
Correct,
bumpers and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but my point is, from the face of the building going towards pavement, you have the first 4 parking spaces that could essentially move and be pushed further to the east, correct?
Oh, that way, that could be done, yeah.
Which would eliminate your crunch on the other side, backing up, which would make your 20.
Well, not necessarily, because if you go 15 feet and you draw a line right there, you're still in a situation where you're going to be backing out, because that sight line, unless you move everything over to the
that's my
lawn,
point.
and we add more asphalt onto it, to the north,
So the
yes.
first 1, 2,
To south,
3,
excuse me.
4 spaces
right.
could be pushed, they could be pushed 50 feet to the east. And then you'd have plenty of room to back up.
Well,
go to the south.
To the south,
What?
yeah,
to the south.
to the south, but there's landscaping in front of there also,
Yeah.
that goes out about 10 feet.
To the south,
Yeah.
to the south, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it can be changed, but the future of what we're going to be doing, we want to have a little bit different layout to expand the building and, going off to the south also too. So I mean, of what we're allowed to do, in the future, within the next year or so. So, I understand what you're saying, and as Matt was saying, it's sort of a gray area to what was approved to what was proposed right now, so. I mean, it would, obviously, If we just wanted to do it, we could get the saw out tomorrow and just cut it all the way down that line, and everything works, and we move on with our lives until the next thing. But is it worth it for me to possibly to ask for a variance? You know, you folks are saying possibly to table it and go and work with that. Obviously, the gentleman here has a little bit to say about it when it comes in, but he's complaining about the noise factor, which really doesn't have a heck of a lot to do with anything on the asphalt. So the noise is going to be there no matter what. It's going to be there forever as far as I own the building, because nothing's going to happen different. I've been there for 34 years emitting the same noise. Now he's got a bug that he doesn't like the noise. So, but that's the way he could speak at the zoning, for the zoning board of appeals, if that's the case. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like we have two options here. Either he changes it to meet the code, or he goes for variance.
Correct.
What would you say? We approve it the way they want it.
That's my option.
Yeah.
Is it worth possibly going to the zoning board of appeals? Right, yes. Right now, I'm appearing in Lancaster Court right now because of the building permit is overdue, and that's a whole big fiasco on which that happened to. I was not aware that the site plan was conducive of all the inspection on the rest of the building. I did not realize that, and I plead ignorance on that. There's no excuse for it, but I did not know that. And that's why this thing just kept on going and going and going.
Well, as far as this board's concerned, for all the other items notwithstanding, as Member Gorski just described, we have two options. We either have to ask you to change the plan, or we actually have to have you go back and try to get the variance. So we're not in a position to actually act on this one right now.
Right, or to advise, and I understand.
You could do the short form and move seeker along so that it gets to the zoning board eventually,
We could do that.
but then you couldn't do anything else.
Are you saying do the short form on the plans as presented?
If he's going to go to the zoning board, he has to have seeker done, so yeah.
Right.
As amended set of plans. And seeker is not a final decision-making, it just looks at the environmental impacts, which,
Yeah, because you'd have to get seeker, go to the town board act, go to the zoning board, then come back here.
right. But if we recommend, if we go through the seeker, if we come up with a negative deck, then we recommend a negative deck to town board, then the town board has to approve the seeker as the final.
I'm sorry, you were saying the seeker?
Okay, environmental review.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, yeah.
So if we do the environmental review based upon your amended plan, no variance, the amended plan, and assuming that we see nothing environmentally at issue, or if we see something, we can ask you to make some environmental changes. That's just some of the things we can do if we found something, well, how could you fix that? Okay, as an example. So then it goes to the town board for final approval of the SIC review. Then you could apply for variance.
Yeah, we'd certainly love to be able to have a secret review taken care of, as well as just any, in general, if the board has any comments on the amended plan, understanding that, if this is to move forward, we would need a variance from what it sounds like. But we'd certainly welcome any comments, just so we can be aware as we're, going through this process.
Well, you talked about landscaping, and I wasn't looking when I drove by. I didn't drive in. I just drove by, okay? And normally I snoop thoroughly when I go to a site that's in front of us, but I didn't. I just drove past it. And I don't remember what you had as for vegetative buffers. And you don't have much space, so...
It basically we basically complied to what...
You found what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, we put any vegetation or trees were planted in the front and on the side. The only omission was where there's a large tree, where there's large arborvitaes that are up from the neighbor. to put the tree up there, it's sort of like not a good idea because it would encroach on the arborvitaes, which the arborvitaes are like 15, 20 feet tall now, and you really wouldn't, all you're going to be doing is choking out where the
Well,
vegetation.
you're just gonna feed deer. That's all you're gonna do with something like that.
Yeah.
You'd have to find something else good. Thank you. I don't know why I missed this page before. Let's do seeker.
So basically, in just conclusion, I'm just looking for a little bit of difference on a couple of the areas where the asphalt is. And like I said, it's a safety concern because originally, just to conclude, the actual gravel driveway was actually closer than back then for like, since the 1950s. So, we actually pulled everything back and put the, the landscaping in it to where, we did the best we can. So, and so if that's the route we have to go to, then obviously, I respectfully understand that, so.
Okay. Before we do seeker, Matt, you have any more comments, questions?
Nothing other than what was written.
Okay. Councilmember Mason? Ed? Should we go through the seeker?
Sure.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Number 4 is a no. We don't have a CEA. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy, and if it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies?
No.
Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? So, anybody, motion?
Move for a negative deck.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And so now we'll make a recommendation.
Table
We
the
can
site
table.
plan.
Table the site plan?
We can table, because you have to decide if you want to go for variance. And if you decide not to, then you come back in here and say, direct Tony again. You decide whether or not you're going to get.
That's okay, I'm up for a challenge.
Other than amend the site plan, or you come in
Yeah.
with a variance.
Okay,
Right?
all right. Obviously, ball's in my court. Thank you. Very good.
Yep.
Thanks for your
We put the
time.
ball in your court. and
Take care.
Obviously, you need to have some conversations with some people.
We need to actually vote to table, that's all.
I thought we did. No, we
Did
didn't.
we?
No.
No, we didn't,
Oh,
no.
okay. Sorry about that. We have a motion to table
We have a motion to table.
and seconded.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Motion's been tabled. Okay, now our last one. Genesee Park Lane Development, Site Plan Review. Good evening.
Evening.
guess I got to apologize here for not bringing a board up. But the Genesee Park Lane development, it's a 4-building, 3 units are 9 townhouse type apartments. The one is a mixed-use
Can I
building.
stop you for a second, just, because I've never met you before, can you just introduce?
Oh, I'm Mike Yeager with Kiops.
Thank you, Mike.
And we're the site civil engineers on the project. Dave Carr is actually the architectural engineer on the project. So it's a 4-building, 3 buildings are 9 units apiece, 2-story, each one has a garage. The mixed-use building has 4 garages on it, as well as 4 units on the 2nd story, and then 4 retail units on the main story. And yeah, I mean, it's 31 apartment building units with the 3 and the 9, and then the 4 above, and then the mixed-use building on the property. Over 5.1 acres. We did submit our plans, received comments from Mr. Schiller and Matt. And so some of the comments we have to address yet. The grading drainage plan had some discrepancies. There's just some layering on our AutoCAD that was turned off. So some of the things I've just got to basically put back on. They were frozen and they shouldn't have been. I guess I do have a couple questions based on the comments that responded to. One of them is, it says regarding driveways, it would be preferred to have one central driveway to Genesee Street to adhere to the access management overlay goals. I guess our initial thought on the designs was just on Genesee, because you have a kind of a retail section and a housing section, that having 2 just for emergency management operations might be better. If somehow one is blocked, then it does give you another access point. But again, it's not a end-all be-all for us. If that's truly the desire, we could go with one. That was just our thinking, is that it provides better emergency management just because you have those dual components on the property.
But you still have the exit out the back though, right?
Say again?
You still have the exit out the back.
We still have the access out the back. It seems kind of,
I mean, for purposes.
yeah, it just seemed kind of wonky to have retail potential, if something happened, have retail coming out the back. For housing, I think it's fine. Everybody there will know that the housing out the back is, but I think for the retail, that was our kind of our concern. And then I talked to Matt the other day, and one of the comments is dual dumpster corral adjacent to the multi-use building. It was within that 90-foot setback, and that was really more for convenience of access from disposal. It was set on the center line of the parking lot. If we have to go back past the 90, we essentially intrude into some of the parking spaces there, and it just becomes harder to line up if it's done during the day. We could move it to the kind of behind the multi-use building, and it's not a problem for us if that's the desire. It is what it is. Just know in my experience, I spent 6 months in a hotel, and for whatever reason, the dumpster was always emptied at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you hear the backup. So we tried to move that forward just so that it's not closer to the apartments, if that's the case. But again, it's not a end-all be-all for us. We can move that. And then we had a light pole comment. Again, that was just I missed, we had them at 18 feet, they're 12 foot. No issues for us. I guess the last comment, public sidewalk has not been proposed along the frontage required by TC chapter 310-12B1. There was no sidewalks anywhere there, so that was, we didn't propose any just based on the fact that there are no existing sidewalks anywhere along that area of Genesee. And through the summer I was on Depew. I know one of the issues has come up in the Depew area was I think DOT along transit wanted sidewalks at one distance, town wanted them at another distance, and there was some back and forth of when they were doing those sidewalks at the location. So I don't want to necessarily propose something if that's not in the long-term vision of DOT, town, county, et cetera, that they would be set back at a different distance. So again, I don't think that's a make or break for us. it just wasn't incorporated just because there was no existing sidewalks anywhere there to connect to. And we don't want to propose them at a different setback distance than might be envisioned in the future, I guess.
I have a question. What type of multi-use or retail are you thinking? What?
So no, like major restaurants or anything, more like little shops, you know, not a major restaurant or, I guess, heavy.
Like little coffee shop or?
Yeah, something where it's not,
It's not Tim Hortons.
no, it's not a Tim Hortons. No, that would be a bad business decision with the Tim Hortons just up. Maybe we could do a Dunkin' Donuts though and have them.
Oh, they won't do all that.
No, it's more like light use, I guess, retail, you know, than.
Maybe a hairdresser or something.
Something along those lines is what the thought is.
But I'm trying to think what else is in that. There's restaurants, there's Tim Hortons nearby, you know, not too far away and things. I'm just trying to think what would fit in.
Dry cleaner.
Well, you know, you've got, and how many housing units again were there?
There were 3 buildings.
Yeah.
Each building has 9 units in it.
Okay.
And they're 2 stories, so the garage and et cetera is on the kind of the kitchen and living room is on the first story. The second story is the housing.
These are
3 buildings at 9. The multi-use has 4 units on the second story.
I was looking for so I'm sure it's somewhere. I just.
Yes, so the Dave Carr designs are in there for the architectural, and then,
I'll go through it again.
okay.
I
And
was just trying to figure out how many units were fitting in here.
there's 31 total housing units, and then the 4 retail units.
They're apartments.
Apartment-style townhouses, I guess, is what, they are apartments, so they will
They're
be,
apartments, they're rental.
yes, they are rentals.
They're
Each,
not-
yes, they are not a purchase, they are a rental unit, but I guess I think of them as more of like a townhouse style because it has.
Style, townhouse style.
Townhouse style, yes.
Okay.
Because it has the garage. I think of an apartment as not usually having a,
Well, each one has its own garage, you pull in and then you,
yes.
are they, right.
And we've accounted for parking spaces out in front of them as well, so additional parking, but each unit has 1 garage.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Ed, other than your letter?
No, just within the letter, yeah.
And we'll address those. We can send the new drawings in the package of 31 to Matt. Again, we can kind of maybe give.
Amended drawings and or responses to comments. We'll only ask for 12 electronic copies of the agency required.
Okay. So 12 hard.
31 primarily was an amount that was directed for county referral. Of the agency comments. We haven't received any yet, maybe a handful of them.
Okay. 12 hard copies in the electronic. Okay.
Matt, any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to respond to what are the permitted uses in the multifamily mixed-use district. Everything, bar, tavern, restaurant, stores, apparel.
Yeah.
There's a plethora, and that was the purpose of creating that type of a zoning district to mix the housing and commercial without having huge conflicts. And the purpose of the comment there for the public sidewalk, as you've seen in the other applications here, is that maybe today it's a sidewalk to nowhere, but tomorrow it's going somewhere. Downtown Bowmansville area, that intersection, we know DOT is going to do that intersection at some point.
Right.
There will
2
be
years.
pedestrian crossings. We will have proper traffic signalization. We have to get however many tenants out of that project to Tim Hortons, to the pizza place, to the confection store, to Alley Oops, to all those spaces.
Right.
The post office.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the post office.
Yeah.
I guess my only concern that is there is a ditch there on the north side.
There is.
And I just want to make sure that it aligns with, obviously, future.
I would talk to DOT and get their requirements.
DOT's comments are going to be huge here. This is why we send this stuff out to DOT for their comments.
Because I think obviously, if we have to put the sidewalk closer to the ditch line, that's going to get, for us, obviously more expensive.
Yep.
That's where it becomes much more cost prohibitive. If we have to fill in all the ditches and put drainage and stuff like that, that becomes kind of probably cost prohibitive. I'm not going to answer for the owner of
Sure.
but it does add a significant cost to the project.
Any other variances required?
Yeah.
Mostly 2 and 3. I don't believe there are any one bedrooms in there, and they were, I want to say 1,400-ish square feet. So they're fairly decent sized units.
Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Mazer? Matt, you're good?
Yeah, just again, the items that were listed on the comment page there.
Yeah, I would think it'd be easier to move that dumpster than to go for variance for it.
No, yeah, absolutely, yes.
And what was the other variance?
I don't think,
The offset of longitudinal wall of the 100.
Right, it was the
56-foot buildings proposed at 6
limitations
feet.
to how long
You can
a
go
straight
without.
run wall could be prior to an offset.
Right.
so there are variances required? So again, they need, of course, so again, they need seeker.
Yeah, there were two, so the little one for the dumpster, they can just use the dumpsters.
Yeah, no, that one we will address. I don't want to go through a variance for that. And I will talk to Dave Carr on the other one, on that one, to make sure that, that might be something that we can engineer.
A design change.
Yes. I think these are more of a standard design that Dave uses. I don't think they were necessarily specific. I think they're kind of a variation of a standard design. So let me check on that one, and I will get back to you on that.
I agree with Matt's comments about the sidewalk. I was going to bring up, maybe nothing there now, but look at what's going on Transit Road. There were no sidewalks for miles, and now.
Now there's miles of sidewalks.
Miles of sidewalks. Right. But we didn't have, there was a lot more vacant land, and now it's all filled in. You know, on the Cheektowaga side, both sides.
Again, their responses are vital from those agencies. And just to expand on that point, Broadway and pavement intersections, just up here by DOT. There is audible pedestrian crossing signals. The lights are there. The road is striped, but there isn't a public walk.
Anyway.
Nowhere. And so you had to look further north on Pavement Road. It's heavily dense with residential occupancies. So it makes sense that any project moving forward should have it. William Street, primary example. The sidewalk to nowhere on Aurora Street. I mean, it's just been just decades of the same old thing over and over again. Walton Avenue was just rebuilt last year. There's public walk now from the village line all the way to Stony Road on the north side of the street because of all the residential density that's been created. I'm also noticing this week bus stops located on Walden Avenue.
They extended, and they finally extended the bus route.
They did. I mean, there's one at Stony and Walden. The other, I believe, is at Quail Run, Traceway.
Interesting. Remember we talked about that too.
These are bus stops. This is public transportation being expanded to accommodate the higher density that's been built.
Also the commercial uses.
The commercial uses, of course.
Right.
And so one more time, planning, this is what we do here. This is the purpose of our existence. You have to forecast what's happening in the town. And now's the opportunity to because next door there will be something with the
Right.
sidewalk.
Even, yeah.
William and Aurora is an excellent example. The intersection was rebuilt in the county. there's curb cuts for public crossings. There's not a stitch of sidewalk on the intersection.
There's no way to go.
Well, there will,
How do you get pizza from
Yeah, when you're working on one side
Lake
of the
Forest
street.
or, or any of those adjoining neighborhoods?
Everybody drives.
You gotta get there. You gotta
Everybody
drive.
drives.
Traffic is silly, but when you can walk 300 feet,
But will they?
yeah, that's all, there will be sidewalks.
So-
In the reconstruction.
I guess my question would be, will you guys, so that we can incorporate them in designs, will you guys provide us a setback for sidewalks? Or might you make a best guess or judgment?
DOT.
Yeah, I would reach out to DOT and ask.
Okay,
Genesee Street's a state highway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
33, so
they have to
DOT,
submit.
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously from us, if we're gonna, we would build them beyond the ditch line and make sure that it's well beyond that, that it's not, you know, that we don't have to kind of infill any of those ditches. You know, and go down that route.
Last thing you want to do is pipe everything.
But, yeah, yes. But I know along transit, though, that was actually a negotiation between DOT and the town, and I think DOT wanted the sidewalks even set further than what they are. And town, whether, because some were already there, it was probably a cost issue that some were already there, and they were essentially aligning existing with new sidewalks there. That, and probably the older sidewalks were much closer to the road. As it's gotten wider, it's gotten busier, it's expanded, and DOT wanted a wider right of way. So that it was a negotiation. I guess if we're starting from scratch, there's probably not much of a negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, typically, they're gonna want it at least 5 feet behind the curb.
Okay.
They're gonna want a 5 feet snow storage area before the sidewalk. So, I mean, not looking at your plan, I don't know how much, you know, if you go to the edge, from the edge of pavement, I guess you would call it, there is no curb out there, edge of pavement, 5 feet of grass.
Yeah, that could put it right.
And then
I'd have
sidewalk.
to,
Now, will the DOT, if you went and said, hey, I want to be 10 feet, the DOT will probably say, knock yourself out. They want usually a minimum of 5 feet for snow storage.
yeah, I think those ditches are probably pretty close to that 5 foot.
So if you're behind the ditch, they'd probably be okay, but they'll have to sign off on it.
Okay, all right.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I think we're gonna be tabling this, right?
Yeah, this is, we can't even address secret because we don't have our comments. This went out, right?
I don't know if it, I don't know.
January 4th.
It went out in the letter? Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, we don't want to touch secret until we see what DOT and some of the others have to say.
So you could do secret next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. There we go with it.
I said next meeting.
time.
Next meeting, next meeting.
week.
Next meeting. No, no.
Time.
So,
next
have a
meeting.
motion to table.
Motion to table.
Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, table this one then.
Yeah. What I understood, like Tony was saying, is to come back with a clean plan with no variances required.
Okay.
A lot easier to get past Tony.
No, and again, some of those were, you know, best guess, best judgment. Like I said, the dumpster issue, that was just, it works functionally, but, you know, obviously according to setback distances, it's not quite there.
Put it someplace away so we don't see it.
Get those layers on your CAD turned back on. Get the dumpster location.
So I am the third engineer now this has come through the office, and I'm by no means an AutoCAD expert, so I struggle sometimes with it.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing you again.
We will see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any open discussion items for anybody on the board?
We don't have anything coming along with our recreational vehicles.
Because Tom was on vacation for 2 days, and Lisa needed the legal department. As soon as he gets back, we'll be back on that. Hopefully, next meeting or the meeting after.
Ed, any additional comments, questions, concerns? Matt?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Mazer?
Just that I was told that that piece of property that Callie was thinking about building out in Owensville, as some of the neighbors say it's up for sale again, so.
Stutzman?
Pardon?
Stutzman?
Stutzman, yeah. That's what those couple butters in that neighborhood, so I don't know, if you want to go back and start thinking about the conservation plan, what Neil was working on. Joe and I, and Neil went to Clarence to take a look at how they buy up the land.
Yeah, West Her probably bought that, because that was part of town.
Oh, yeah, the town, Downing,
Yeah.
Lester, yeah.
did quite a bit of sell-off. And again, for this board's awareness,
Thank you, Tom. I'll make sure next time I bring.
preliminarily, I've reached out to the West Her Auto Group to begin the discussions of transfership of special use permits for those two facilities, as well as updating their operational permits.
I'll bring it back to the board's attention and see what they want to do, if they want to pursue something like that.
Okay. Great.
Put a park in it.
Anything else, Councilmember Mazur? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Perfect spot.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
We actually got something done. Wasn't all paper on the paper.
To the north part of town.
Metal piece of glass. I know. I share your frustration. No,
I don't know what our
I can only respond to the state
building
employees
plans.
and municipal reading.
Typically, most towns
Portion of it is addressed by the police department.
Well, they told me that they couldn't do anything because he made a law.